Hi guys, it's Mia with the Cozy Bookshop, and I am here today to do a book review on The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. Got a couple things before I get into the nitty-gritty. The first being that I've got my notes down here, so if you see me look down, it's just some notes of some key things that I'd like to hit during this review. The second thing is there will be some spoilers in this review. I will keep them at the end of the video so you can watch up to a certain point without being spoiled. But they will be in here, so at some point, and I'll let you know when, at some point in the video, you will want to exit out if you've not ready. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review of The Shadow of the Wind. The first thing that I kind of wanted to touch on in regards to this book is the writing. Every line in this book is quotable. It is absolutely incredible the way that the author weaves together words to make sentences, to make paragraphs, to make the story is absolutely incredible. There is not a single part that you don't just get wrapped up in his descriptions and his very thematic way of writing. It is absolutely incredible. It makes it so easy. The best part about it, I would have to say, would be that his use of language and his writing style makes it very easy for you to be able to completely picture a scene and still have it in your own eyes. So you've got all the little details, even down to the little ant walking across the park, but it still has your, like, the reader's spin on it, and that is just absolutely incredible and so enjoyable to be able to see the author the way the author wants you to see it and still keep your own eye of things and how you kind of picture them. It just works so well. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the actual plot of this story. This will be spoiler free. Like, there's no spoilers in this portion, but I will say there are several plots to this story. So with this story, it is a story within a story. And then each character has their own story of their own kind of life and their storyline, and it's all woven together. Everything comes back together brilliantly, and everything is so interwoven and interconnected that you don't even realize necessarily that you're going through all of these different plot lines until you're at the end of the book and everything comes full circle. And you're kind of back where you started from, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to do this without giving any spoilers away, but I think that's the best way to do it, is there are just so many different plots at work and different plot points at work that it's just incredible, and it just makes for such a smooth story. Like, I don't think this book could follow just one story. You almost need all of the storylines to be together and all of these different plots happening for it to actually come together in the way that it does. So that was absolutely amazing, and I loved that. Something else that was really enjoyable was how much really came back in the story. It's not foreshadowing, because there are bits and pieces of the story that you don't see coming at all, but there are tidbits that while you're reading, you're like, you as a reader, when you're reading the story, you're kind of like, oh, that's an interesting thing. And later on in the book, when you read another section that mentions the same thing, and I'll talk about this in the spoiler portion of the movie, of the video, so I can give a more detailed example. But let's just say that there is no waste of words. There's no waste of a story. Every detail comes back into play in some way. This author is not one for useless dialogue. I shouldn't say that, because there was a couple things that played into the story, but I didn't really care for. But none of it was wasteful. Everything that you read serves a purpose in the story. So I really like that. As a reader, I love when everything is just so connected about a story and every little bit comes back into play. I love when that happens, and I feel like that is a true sign of a book and a story that's been done above and beyond. And it just really, I just had the reading of this book is absolutely fantastic. As a reader, and I will say, and this is one of the points that I wanted to touch on, as a reader, this whole book is like an homage to authors, to books, to how a story and a book and an author can touch your life so profoundly that it alters your own life. It makes you look at things differently. You see the world in a different light. And that, to me, like, as a reader, I've read books like that before. I've read books where they are pretty much an homage to reading, to books, to authors, to readers. This one was done probably the best I've ever read. I cannot talk about it enough to anybody, because it truly is absolutely incredible. There was not a moment that I was bored. There was not a moment that I wasn't falling into this world and into this story. And you follow that main character and you just feel his passion, because you start to come to love this book the way the main character loves the book that he has found. And that's not giving anything away. Like, that's not any normal thing. Like, it says on the back, he finds solace in a mysterious book entitled The Shadow of the Wind. That is what it is. You start to fall into this world, into this story in the same manner, and it makes the reading experience just that much more incredible. So to wrap up the spoiler-free section, I just want to say I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. If I could give it a 10 out of 5, I would. I loved this book. I recommend it to anybody to read. It was truly incredible. The amount of stickies that I have tabbed here should be a sign as to how much I really loved this book. And there's so much. Oh, there's just so much about this book. So if you've not read it, go pick it up, go read it, come back and join me for the rest of this video. And I wouldn't say that just so you come back and watch the rest of the video. Like, go pick up the book. I've never been so serious about recommending a book than I am about The Shadow of the Wind. Go read it. I'm serious. And if you have read it, let's go on to some spoilers and let's actually talk about The Shadow of the Wind. As far as main characters go, our viewpoint of Daniel is very interesting. He goes hand in hand with the other main character, our author, Julian. So they kind of go hand in hand, and they follow along the same life path in a way. And there are a lot of similarities, which our side characters who know both of them kind of pick out. And there's only one, I think, who knows both of them. One and the author, but that's a huge spoiler, but there we go. We're talking spoilers. So people who know both of them really see the similarities and try to prevent a repeat of history, if you want to say that. But when you're in so far deep as they both were, it's kind of hard not to repeat history. So I really liked the viewpoint of Daniel. I liked seeing, like I said, it is a coming of age novel, so it is, there is an element of, immaturity to maturity, and you really see him develop, and you see his mindset go from that of a young boy who is selfish and doesn't really understand real life to this young man who, recognizes his shortcomings and, where his strengths and weaknesses are and what he's really good at. And then you see him start to kind of overcome what he views as his weaknesses. And I really like when you get that viewpoint of start to finish all together. And when somebody really goes, wow, like, I'm really scared that the woman that I love's dad's gonna beat the crap out of me, but I'm gonna go do it anyway. When 3 chapters earlier, he wasn't doing that. He wasn't standing up for himself. He wasn't standing up for those he loved. It's just really nice to see that arc where that light switch flips. So that was nice to see, I should say. As far as in terms of like our main characters, I think my favorite is Fermain, because he just adds a bit of humor and like levity and lightness to those serious situations, and he has one of those like good but cynical outlooks on life and love and happiness, and I loved seeing him also overcome his own shortcomings and his own struggles to really turn a new page in his life and find love and happiness. I just really liked him. I don't know what it was. I think he was my favorite character. Least favorite characters, I did not like Noria. Like, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm not a fan of hers for many reasons. Not just because I felt like her character was very important and very crucial to the story, obviously, because she is the only person who has the connection to both Daniel and Julian, and her character is instrumental in unraveling the mystery that surrounds all of these events. But beyond, I feel like her character as a person and the way that she was portrayed, and I don't know in the author's mind, I don't know in his mind, I don't know if that's accurate or not. I just felt like she just floated along. Like, there wasn't really a lot to her. And while she wasn't a wasteful character, she wasn't like an amazing character either. She wasn't like, oh my god, Noria, like, you totally unraveled the whole mystery. She just kind of floated through, and, that's all I can really say about her. I was not a fan of hers. And I think that's all in terms of like the characters that I really wanted to touch on. So far as the action and the story, the plots as a whole, I did not like the ending. I talked about this earlier in this review, about how everything kind of came full circle and it all got tied up nicely with a bow on it, and I didn't like it. I feel like it was a cop-out, to be completely honest. I get the author wanted to just full circle and have some closure, but I feel like I was kind of let down by that. I wish, honestly, and if you've made it this far, and you haven't read the book yet, stop. Stop watching this video right now. Like, I do not want to screw this up for you. You will get to a point in the story where your heart will drop, you will lose all the breath in your body, everything will go. I don't want to ruin that for you. So, I've never been more serious in a video. Stop watching. Go read the book and then come back and talk to me about the ending. If you have read the book, start to finish, continue on. I did not like the ending. I wished he would have ended it where Bea is whispering in Daniel's ear, I love you, and he sees the light and he steps into... I wish it would have ended right there. I wish it would have ended. Here, I'll read the exact phrase. Her light was all that came with me as I descended. End. Done. Fiend. Like, I wish it would have stopped there, because I feel like that point, for me as a reader, I was like, I was on the verge of tears. I was a wreck. And honestly, when we switched over into the next, like, it's not a chapter, but the next, like, stage of the book, and he was talking about how he had died 3 times on the way to the hospital, and they revived him, and it was just love that was holding him, and all this other stuff. I kind of was like, no. Like, I want to, okay, maybe I should clarify this. I wanted Daniel to live. I wanted him to find peace. I wanted him to find happiness. He had really made a whole bunch of leaps and bounds. And I wanted him to come to terms with where our characters were. When the author made the decision that he was to die, I wish he would have stuck with the he was to die. Whether he brought him back or not would have been fine. I don't know. I feel like the ending, I didn't want a happily ever after ending. I didn't. I felt like when that decision was made, coming back and having him come back to life, and then having the author find his peace and happiness, and it was just a big happily ever after. Everybody got married, everybody's having babies, like all that good stuff. I feel like it was kind of a cop-out, to be completely honest. I feel like it was, and I loved the ending. Don't get me wrong, like, there was nothing wrong with it. I still 5 out of 5 stars. I still highly recommend it because the book itself is absolutely incredible. It's just the ending kind of disappointed me. It disappointed me because I feel like the author made the decision and then something happened and it changed. And I wish that, because there are more books in this series, and I wish maybe the next book that had these characters in it, I wish that maybe that would have been the book that they talked about him, you know, coming back and then restarting his heart and all of that. So that is where I'm at with that. And I think that's the last thing that I really wanted to talk about with this book. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up now. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Shadow of the Wind. If you've read this book, talk to me down below. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say, what you think about it. Let me know. Leave me a comment. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in my next video.